want to have uncomfortable conversations. I want the room to be divided. I want people to be screaming and mad at each other. Then I want them to understand each other. I want to see things from a different point of view. This is Unpopular Opinion.
Greetings, you upstanding citizens. Thank you for all your love and support. We see you on social media. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Today's guest, I don't even know what to do with myself, guys. Well, I've always been a fan of you. I'm the little sister. You know how it goes. So I don't know how we're going to do this, but I know you're excited. I know I'm excited. Thandiswa, King Ta, I don't even like it.
Oh, wow.
No, for real.
Where?
You know I'm a fan.
Where?
You know I'm a fan.
Ndikushiyele yonke into Ntsiki, ndakushiyela ibele, ndakushiyela izikhaftini, ndakushiyela impahla, ndakushiyela yonke into mntasi.
You made me look cool in this live, I'll tell you that.
I mean, are we admitting on camera?
We are admitting. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get the confessions out the way. The first confession.
Wow. Hey.
The first confession.
Is this happening?
Every single time we're together, say are so important for the Black child, even just randomly. And I know you know. Well, you don't know it like know it, but you've seen your impact on the Black girl.
Mm-hmm.
Before Thandiswa came around, we were not being natural. Before Thandiswa came around, we were not wearing our white all-stars. We were not wearing our tradition. You made our culture cool for us, and there's literally a whole generation that's coming because of you, and we do thank you.
Which means I'm really old, right?
You're very old, babe. You're very old.
Oh my God, I can't believe we're this old.
Dude,
how old are we?
In our 40s.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Your child is 22.
So now it's fine. I just have to accept that there are kids that are coming up that are definitely inspired by me.
Definitely
yes. Yes. I mean,
even the ones after.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you yourself can't really take it all in. You're just, every now and then you get glimpses of this thing. And, it almost shakes you as well, because you're like, wow, did I really do that? When I look back at it, I almost can't believe that that's me. You know what I mean? Because it's so much sometimes, So, yeah. But yeah, thank you for saying that. Thank you.
The thing is with a gift, what we've seen on your journey is when somebody's got their gift and their purpose, it leads them and it takes them places. We can't deny you as a musical goddess of our time, because how uno Michael Jackson, hey uno Whitney Houston, hey uno, so it's obvious that.
Yeah.
So how have you dealt with this gift?
I've had to separate myself from it, because I think that you can't carry something like that. And also, it's the kinds of things that people say to me, and the kind of responses that I get, they become a little bit heavy. So I've had to really separate myself. And even when people say, well done, I say thank you, but in this way that's kind of like, well, it's not really me. I'm just, it's just me, But I think that has helped me to remain pure in the gift, I think. Because I've never assumed that it was me that's doing this. I've always thought something takes over me. And I still believe that. So I deal with it by allowing it to be something that's divine in itself. That every now and then it affects me, but it's not from me, it's not of me,
So then
and I think really that's the thing, that if we all believe that, if I believe this, then I believe that same magic can touch everyone else. It's not something,
it's not yours,
that's only peculiar to me, because growing up I never thought we could become stars. I grew up in Soweto, so the fact that it happened to me, I believe, is chance. And I believe it's because we all get that chance in life to just be magical and to be great and to really shine in our in our light, like you are now, that sort of thing.
So let's get into the childhood.
Yes. Most. Why are you asking
No,
me?
no, I want the other children to know. I've known you all my life.
Okay, what do you want to know,
I want to
Ntsiki?
know who, when you think of the little girl Thandiswa, who was that? How did she grow up? Paint the picture for.
When I think about that little girl,
Yes.
she was free. She was a free-range Soweto kid that ran from Zone 7, Pimville, to Zone 1, to Zone 2, to Zone 4, back to Zone 6, back to Zone 7, Ngale Selection Park. I was like free. I was running around. I was genderless. I was colorless. I was just a kid, and I think that's the thing, like when you're a kid, awungomntu omnyama, ungumntu. Before life taints you with ubumnyama and everything else, the suffering. When you're just a kid, ungumntu, you were born into this world free, naked, running around. That's how I felt as a kid.
What were the issues that you were?
I didn't have issues. I didn't have issues. My mother loved me. My father loved me. My sisters were irritating me. Nkhuno was hitting me. They were like, it was just life. It was life in the ghetto. I was going to buy bread. I was,
So a typical township.
It was just a typical township, beautiful life. There were obviously those things because I grew up in apartheid Soweto. So,
Yeah.
I mean, in apartheid South Africa. So I did see the police, the guns. I saw the tear gas, the running, the fear. But all that comes much later in life, I think. Like when I was around 12 or something, when I was starting now to notice things around me. When I was much younger, I didn't know that this was only a state for Black people. This was the Black life, And it's only through life that I started to find out that no, there were things that were separate and different for me than for other kids based on race and class and all those things. But I mean, we grew up sharing everything. My mother, if we had a trip yasesikolweni, my mother would fill a cooler box, two. Afaka amaswiti amaningi nama-chocolate nama-chips nan. Athi abanye abantwana bazoba nazo. So xa ufika phaa esikolweni, share with everyone all the stuff that I put in here. So we just had a beautiful life. That's how I think of young Thandiswa.
And the influence of your parents is there. What of them is inside you?
Remains. My parents, I think what remains about my parents is this sense of this Pan-Africanism. Also, my parents loved books, reading and writing, so knowledge was important. So I still love to read, I still love to write because I saw my parents do it all my life. And this sense that I belong not only to Soweto, but to all of South Africa, and then to all of Africa, and then to the world. They left me with the sense that the world is mine. Because my mother would travel to Oxford, somewhere, and Cambridge, where. And she would be, there were lots of pictures. Every time I saw a picture of my mother, it was her in a library, just looking at some books or something. So the world was always the world for me. It was always available for me. And I think that's a beautiful thing that my parents left with me.
Growing up in like an intellectual reading.
Growing up in this place where knowledge and curiosity was a part of life. And also growing up in this place where my Africanness, my tradition, my culture was not something we thought was odd. It was just a part of who we were. And it was a very important part of our identity, So I never grew up with this idea that I had to go and fetch my identity. My identity was already inbred in me. Sasithetha isiXhosa ekhaya, We had traditional outfits. We did traditional things. Kwakuxhelwa ekhaya. So I grew up in this world. And that's why even in my work, this world is very much alive in that work because that's what I grew up with.
Tell me about the impact of losing Mama, especially as a firstborn.
Well, I think the thing about losing a parent as a firstborn is that you instinctively step into the parental role. You instinctively say, well, I guess, like, who's going to take care of them? So I did that. And why are you making me cry?
I'm sorry. So many people cry on the seat, you know that. It's the ancestry.
I don't want
Did
to
you
cry.
see?
Also, I can't believe
Did you see somebody on the wall?
I saw myself there.
Right?
That's cute.
I know.
That's
Isn't
cute.
it so stunning?
Yeah, you take that parental role and you try to save your siblings. You should put tissue then.
I know, right? We even had Babu Seth Mazubuga was here also crying. Mom, can you see the Litchfield also crying? You guys,
Ubabuza ngabantu
you keep
abashonile.
coming to cry
Ubabuza
for me.
ngabantu abashonile.
No, he didn't figure that.
No, ungasibuzi ngabantu abashonile, man. Ungasibuzi ngabantu abashonile.
No, I have to. The thing is that I even wore my white linen suit that my big sister bought for me in case Mama's watching, okay?
That's so sweet. So, yeah, I bought you clothes. I did everything for you because I felt like who was going to do that for you, you know? So it's yeah.
Then there's the blessing.
Don't ask the
of
mama
being-
question.
I know the mama question is so sensitive, but the thing is that Mama was such a big character, and her name Mfazo Belete owangisela ngapheshe komlanjana means that she's the mother of many generations, which is why I started this conversation of, you know what? Have you seen the impact that you've had on the children and their children, their daughters and their daughters? So, la uncele khona. And this mom who left has left you with this gift that now you've continued to. That's why I wanted to come back to this because I think it's a big part of who you are.
Of my identity, yes.
Right?
It is a part of how I identify myself because I always leave room. I mean, a lot of the friends I've kept and the people I've had in my life are people that didn't have home. They were looking for home. And I was like, okay, come, let's all make a home together, you know? So, yeah, it's a very big part of my identity.
You're actually jumping in my mouth because I was going to say to you that, because I know your private life.
I know you know, Mos.
I know your private life, babe. I know that you've got a back room cottage at your house. And that back room has been a home for so many artists and people needing home. But it's mainly artists and it's mainly female artists.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So there's the healer. And you naming your album Ibhokwe. I'm still going to come to the music. So I'm just want to get all this, because now we're on the compassion part of you, where Mfazo Belete. Was that deliberate? How is that happening? Because literally that's what happens. People come in and out.
Yeah, they do. People come in and out in that back room. And I love when people come in that room because it's such a... I love the energy of people that are kind of passing through, that just kind of needed a place. And here we are with you in this moment of healing. And when you're done, you can go. I love that. I love that.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And I think it's also because in many different ways, I've met people in my life who've done that for me, who have created spaces, whether didn't have to be buildings, but they've created spaces of healing for me. And they've shown me that you're not alone, you know, in this world. But when you're motherless, you can sometimes feel that way. You know, you can sometimes feel that way, yeah.
Yeah. When was your first solo performance?
My first solo performance. You know I have a bad memory. How can you ask me things like that?
Okay, I'll tell you all your story.
You know my first solo performance.
Wasn't it at Rodin? That was
my
the first
female. That was your first.
As in, I went and I sang by myself somewhere.
Yes.
Well, no. When I was in primary school, I used to sing all the time. I was in the choir.
So it was like that. Yes.
Yeah, I was in the choir at Etembo. I was in the choir and I was always getting the lead. There was a song called Sisi no malungelo no malungelo. It was the choir song. And one day I had to sing the lead for that song and I did. Even in church, I used to sing.
Yes, of course.
Whenever that family, there was a family called Abakwandzazulwana. And the whole family sang. Usisi wakho nomdala, ubhuti omdala. They called each other that. Usisi omdala, ubhuti omdala, ubhuti omncinci, ubhuti omncinci.
Okay, usisi omdala.
And they were always the singers in church. But whenever they were not around, somebody would go, "What about you?" And then I'd be like, "Just around the corner.
Jesus is coming."
That would be me. That would be me. So I was always like taking that moment to do it. But I've always been afraid of actually standing in the front of a microphone. I'm still afraid of it.
I know.
I still knock knees before I have to take a microphone. You know? Yeah,
But isn't that part of... is that part of the artistry and the respect for the craft? Or you think it's a Thandiswa thing?
I think that there are some artists who are not afraid. They're ready for the stage. When somebody says, "Go on stage," they go, "I'm ready." Me, you almost have to push me there.
Yeah.
But I think it's because of what the stage does to me in particular. You know, there's a way in which the stage takes me. And I lose myself on that stage. So every time I go on stage, I always say to people, it's almost as if divumukufa every time. Okay, it's a ritual. Every time it's a ritual. Yokuvumukufa. So that on that stage I can inhabit the thing that is required on the stage. But for that to happen, kufuneka mna dizikhuphe, because I am afraid. I am full of ego. I am nervous. I'm not great. I'm human. I fumble. But the thing that appears on that stage, I think, and many times I hope it arrives, is pure. And that thing is love, the thing that appears on that stage. It's a healing force. It's something that can change a narrative for people. So, divumukufa every time I go on that stage.
So you do actually recognize the impact of the spiritual communication. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The stage is a sacred place. And actually, through doing a lot of therapy, I realized that for me, the stage actually started to become a, what do you call it? Like it replaced my mother.
Sure.
My therapist said to me that when you are a baby in your mother's arms, your mother looks at you and she sees the world for you. So in your mother's eyes, everything is possible. And when I lost my mother, I lost that faith in myself. And the stage became the place where everything could be possible, that I could grow into my truest self. And I was loved. It was a place of love, of acceptance. So the stage for me has been really an important place of healing. And without the stage, like during COVID, I was freaking out because I was like, where am I getting my healing now? Because I always left it on the stage. Everything would be left on the stage.
Your relationship with schooling? Because I'm still at when you were young, you were singing at church. And
I'm singing at church.
You went to Etembu Primary School. Then what happened?
I went to Etembu Primary School. And then for 1 year in 1985, when I guess there was, a state of emergency. And it was just not safe. You know, it was not safe in Soweto. Boys were going missing in the middle of the night. School was always interrupted because, my comrade would say, freedom now, education later. So there was no schooling, and my mother and my father decided to send me to Lusikisiki. And I lived in Lusikisiki with my rich uncle and aunt for a year. And that was interesting. Actually, that's where I learned English because they spoke a lot of English.
Okay.
And their kids went to private schools and they spoke a lot of English. Sasingayazi in English.
Yeah.
Sasingayazi kahle.
Benithatha kanjani?
Sasiyazi nje, you know, like, good morning, teacher. Yabo ile English le. Yes, yethu.
Yes.
Then I went to go live with my rich aunt and uncle in Lusikisiki, and they were speaking full English 24/7 in the house. Never spoke anything else.
That's interesting.
And I mean, you know, so that's where I learned English.
Yeah.
So, and then after that year, 1986, I went back to Tembu Primary.
Okay.
And now I was like, morning, how's everybody? Da, 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 da. Abantwana baseklasini, hayi bo, yini manje wena? Mawufika manje, yini manje? And I'm like, hi bo, guys, I mean, you know. And I remember even my principal at the school, wayethanda ukukhuluma English. So anytime that I got into trouble, like my English teacher or anything, if I got into trouble, but he gave me humble office in. The principal is not beating me.
Ukhuluma nawe English.
Right? She used to like licking her teeth. So tell me, and I think she had a crush on Utata because she always used to ask me, so tell me, where is your father these days? I can figure out it. Oh, he is at Cambridge University. I said, wow. See, English, you can go back to the office, to the class, as I went to bed at all. So yeah, like the English was just getting me out of trouble. And then standard 5, I graduated out of Tembu Primary. And I was their top student. And I think that was the first year that they did a going away celebration for the standard 5 class. And I gave a speech and my mother was invited. And she came there, and of course, it was great, you know, because I remember we used to get into trouble to Anikamanga, then the mother comes, and then it's like, okay, since in January, Mama Kona Gagami. And then
Mrs. Mazwai.
And then I went to Rodin, obviously.
Yeah.
And you know how that started. My sisters Ntsiki and Nomsa went to a private school. You're
messing up my street cred, but continue.
And so now they were coming back from school. Uniform you know, team dress, nehembe, neband. Laba babuya ngama-blazer, irogo lakhona li-blue, isicathulo sakhona si-brown. There's even a school panty, there's even a hat. Dalila, that's no, mama, I'm from younger. But no, when was our next year, that Dalila. So my mother was like, okay, fine. We went to go look for a school, and I ended up at Rodin, of all schools.
Imagine.
But you guys were at St. Catherine's.
I know, right?
And then St.
Andrews. It's worse.
It's worse.
It's worse.
I mean, so I went to Rodin. I was 12 years old. I remember it was 1988. And I got to Rodin, and that's where I got like a huge culture shock. I mean, you guys were busy saying things like, oh, cute. And you wanted puppies and cats and kittens. And my mother was like, kittens, cats, dogs, what's happening? Mina, when I got there, I was already like pretty grown. So I get to Rodin, and I'm thinking, like, Tina, break, but makara le belle break, ne? Uskrime usahlele deskin.
Yes.
Yeah! So mina makali belle ngalilanga lokuqala ithi belle ngithi yo ngibona iclass lonke lingibheka like, you know, hey. Nalento ukuthi like abantwana belungu behlala kanje yabo inyawo
cross-legged, yes.
Hey, that took me a long time to master that. Just to master that thing, because Tina behlala inyawo so emuva.
Oh,
behind you.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how you did it. So abantwana bebelungu jo bakhosele imilenze yabo ngiqomba. Yeah, okay. Ndafunda phaya ba yintoni sandwich. I-sandwich, it used to be isinkwa ne-peanut butter ne-jam. Fake esikhaftini nihambe esikolweni uphethe oros. Fine. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Great. Hayi xa ufika phaa abantwana bebelungu bane-sandwich, ipaloni, i-cheese, there's something, lettuce, tomato, and asikwanga You have to cut it into triangles. That's a sandwich. You know? Banama juice bottles.
Yes.
Bana's necks, like a chocolate something and the chips. That's when I felt in the comma, oh, I Gobi Ezwin. That's where I noticed. And really, that's also where I got personally politicized, I think, at Rodin, because every time something got missing, I was the only black kid
Wow.
in my class. So if something went missing, they would ask me first.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. We.
Tandy, and they insisted on calling me Tandy. That's why till today, did it Thandiswa? What did it Thandiswa? What did Thandiswa? Did it Thandiswa? It's like that. Don't try to say Tandi. Don't no. Don't say T. Don't
But they also call it Tambawazi. Tambawazi Mawazi.
Come on. That usually happens to me on the phone.
Right? What do they do? What happens?
On the phone?
Yeah.
It's usually if like those telecommunications people.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's an Afrikaans guy. And I can hear he's just reading my name. He'll go, hello. Is this Timbawiza Mawazi? And then I go, no. Drop the phone. Can I speak to is this Mr. Mawazi? Mr. Mawazi? And no. Drop the phone.
Oh my God. Okay,
yeah, so anyway, that's why I really got politicized, because I realized that there was a racial thing going on. And also the fact that my parents were PAC members was a huge thing at school. You know, they were waiting for me to bring the revolution. And I was only 12 years old. I was like, what are you guys talking about? I just want to sing in the choir and, you know, do kid things like make a noise at break. But thankfully, I only stayed at that school for 1 year. And then I went to Puting.
Okay.
And Puting was my high school, which I think was the place where I learned the most about all the different cultures of South Africa, because the school had a lot of different kids from a lot of different backgrounds. And, you know, if it was a Muslim holiday, the Muslim kids told us about it. You know, if it was like, if it was like some Islamic holiday, the Muslim kids would tell us about it.
Can I know what's the school called now? Because I want them to know.
Now
is it Summit or something?
Yeah, it's called Summit College.
In Midrand.
You pass.
This was the first job of it. Yes.
Yeah, you pass Indaba Hotel. But that school for me opened up my eyes. We didn't have a school uniform. People could wear their, you know, political T-shirts. So the one white kid at school wore her UDM T-shirt, and I wore my PAC T-shirt. Somebody wore their ANC T-shirt, and it was really open, you know. And it was like, I think the first steps of that dream of like this culturally open and accepting new South Africa. Yeah.
And then what are the things that come out of your Puting experience, or the people, or?
Yeah, I think that the main thing is it's the learning about other people, about other people's cultures, you know. For instance, June 16, all the black kids in the school would say, we're not coming to school today, because it's part of how we commemorate June 16. And the school would allow for that to happen, you know. And if some, you know, I don't know, but it was just it was very open. So that's the thing I loved about it, was that we learned a lot about each other, and we were accepting of each other's ways of life. We were not trying to, it wasn't like Rodin where you had to assimilate and become white in order to be accepted into this world. It was this world where I could be a kid from Soweto and I could express myself in the way that I express myself as a kid from Soweto, you know? And then the kid from Vereniging could be the kid from Vereniging, you know? And it was also like very well represented. You know, it wasn't this many white people and then one black kid. It was a lot of black people and a very few white people. So it looked the way South Africa looks.
Okay, so now we've gotten your childhood in the township, then the transition with the political change in the country. Now we're at university. What happens there? Because I think that's where your music now kicks in.
Actually, university, when do I go to university? I go to university in 1994.
Okay. Wow. Yeah.
That's when I go to university. I think my student card said 94. Mama passes away in 1993.
92.
Mama passes away in 1992. I matriculate in 1993. 1994, I do first year in university. So it's a very interesting time in the country because we have just voted.
Yes.
We are also going. No, we hadn't voted yet, had we?
We voted in 94.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had not voted yet, I remember, because
So you're the first blacks who could vote.
I just turned, how old did you have to be?
Yeah.
You had to be 18 to vote?
Yes.
You have to be 18 to vote,
I think
right?
so, yeah.
Yeah. I turned 18 that March.
Yes.
And that April we voted. So I remember I went with Nkhono. She went to go get her first ID that she had never had an ID.
Ke mang Nkhono? People don't know who Nkhono is. Uvele usitshele ngabo Nkhono manje.
Angiyamazi wena.
Mina ngiyamazi abamazi wena. Hawu. Wakhuluma ngathi.
Nkhono ke mme wa Mosotho o re hodisitseng a re ruta Sesotho. A re otla ka Sesotho, a re omanya ka Sesotho, a re fepa ka Sesotho.
A re
rohaka ka Sesotho. Everything. I remember. A re khilik. O mo gopola Nkhono, a re khilik. A gato re fuck off, man. And I never knew what it means until later. I'm like, Nkhono is rohakeng.
Mema
Khumunyana, yeah. She was this old lady that raised us and lived with us at home for, all our lives.
Right?
And, was like Nilong Rona. And I remember Nkhono used to love fighting with me. She used to love, Ampita Thandiso. She refused to call me Thandiswa.
Yes.
She was like, there's no Thandiswa in Sesotho. It's Thandiso. Thandiso, ngwanaka. So I remember one of my funniest stories about Nkhono is one day she started fighting me for nothing because she wanted to go home. So I come back from school, I'm sitting on the side of the bed, just kind of like, and Nkhono is wa aina mo le Nkhono. So I'm like, whatever. Hi Nkhono, I sit on the bed. She looks at me. Thank you. How about like ke sebetse? How about like aina? Nkhono? Because you don't know what's going on. You're like, Nkhono? And she's like, how about like aina? I'm like, Nkhono, it's Nkhono ngihlalele lana andithethe Nkhono. Yonke into right Nkhono. Oh, ke a tseba hore ke hirilwe mo ntlong mona. Ke a tseba hore ke hirilwe hae mona. Empa ntwe wa isho hore tshwantse ha ke bereka o no ntsheba. I'm like, mara Nkhono, I just how Nkhono. She packs up her things. What's am I? Now Mama comes back from work. I have to say, Mama, Nkhono phinde wahamba. Hayi bo nimenze ntoni Nkhono? Hayi Nkhono Mama uqombile uba kutheni hlala ebhedini yena ayina. Yo, hayi Nkhono. Athi kona xoxelwane he. Xoxelwane. Anyway, so I went with Nkhono to get her first ID. She had never had an ID. And I took her to go and vote. We stood together in the line. We say Mdelwa, which is a school, Zulu school in Pimville. Because before the schools were like Zulu, there was a Xhosa school. We went to a Xhosa school. There was a Pedi school, a Tswana school, a Zone 2. So I went with Nkhono. We stood in that queue. Sayo vote, asababin. So when I'm starting university, the country is really on edge. Also because I remember when there were the riots that had to do with Inkatha Freedom Party and they were came through Braamfontein. And we as students are also there trying to be students within the revolution. I went on so many marches as a student. We were extremely politically involved as students. As students are, you know what I mean? Students are always like that. So, that was also part of my growing up, this kind of youth movements and this politicized youth. So that's what happened to me in school. But on the other side of that, there was like studios and me suddenly ending up at a studio session.
How did you end up at a studio session?
Well, my first studio session that I ever went to, this girl called Thabiso, who was anyway, Thabiso.
Yes. Yes.
Thabiso. I went to school with Thabiso, and she said, she one day was like, Pamela, do you want to come with me? I'm going, a hill, bro. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. We went. She didn't really explain much. We went to Hillbrow. We get to this place, and it's a music studio. I've never seen a music studio, so I don't actually know where we are when I arrive. I'm looking around, okay. And then, she's like, oh, we just have to do some stuff. I have to go in there. I have to sing. You can sing. You should also do the singing thing. And I'm like, oh, okay, what's happening here? So she goes inside the booth and she starts singing. And I remember when she came out, I said, like literally, Chomi, explain like, when's I can do? She says, no, we are writing songs and we're recording them. And it was like mind boggling to me. I said, but is it other people's songs? She said, no, we are writing them. I remember my light went on that day. I said to her, what do you mean? I do that every day. This is what I do. She said, exactly. Get in there and sing. And I went in there and I stood in front of the microphone. This was the first time I stood in front of a microphone in a recording studio. And I stood there and I went, "Eh, uyahamba, awuzobuya ninina." And it became a hit.
Dude.
I could not believe it.
Dude.
I could not believe it. Like, I used to walk around Bramfontein and Hillbrow and Yeovil and whatever, and I would see like people phakathi kwama-tavern. Hey,
Babuza buya
bethi
nini
dalu uzobuya nini. Mina I said ngabu uzobuya
Yes.
nini. Bona bayiphuzile balo bethi dalu uzobuya.
Buya nini.
And I would want to tell them, it's me, So yeah, that was the other. That was the parallel world.
Yes.
In between, like my classes on African literature and international relations and politics, there was this other music world building up, and now I was discovered by Don Laga at like a music competition that my friends forced me to go to. And then Don Laga was like, hey, when I see something, come and do some sessions with us. And I got to a studio they were living in a flat in Yeovil.
Okay.
And they had a studio inside that flat. And one day, I arrived there and I find my daughter. It was like the whole of Trumpis, the whole of Oskido is there, all of Kalawa is there. And we did the session for Bongo Maffin, which was already a group. Before I joined them, they already had an album.
The three boys.
Yeah, the three boys. They were already a group. And I arrived
and they'd already dropped.
They'd already had an album.
Oh, okay.
Wait, no. I think I'm on the first Bongo Maffin album, but as a session singer. So they have this album, and I'm on there, and I'm singing on this song called
Summertime.
Summertime. Yeah,
I told you I know your story. I told you I'm a fan.
I was singing on this song called Summertime, and I think another one called Leaders of Digong.
Yes.
Because there was a battle between Kalawa and 999 about who is making kwaito. Is this kwaito? Is this what? And then Kalawa was like, whatever, we make Digong. Because it's got that gong, And then they were like, we're not 999, you're making music. King, Tina's pretty gong, baba. You know what I mean? So I was on that song, Leaders of the Gong. But I was a session singer.
Yes.
And then they did a second album and they called me again. But now to feature on a song by Mira Makeba, the remake of Mira Makeba's song. So I got there, I sang that song. And that song became huge. And they were like, Joe, it looks like we're going to need you on that stage. Actually, that happened before. I'm mixing up my story. When I sang Summertime is when they called me to say, we need you on the stage. Because by the time we did the Makeba remake, I was a member of the group.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I was like between going to lectures and then getting picked up by some kumbi yasekalawe egcela abafana aba-rough, aba-wild, aba-wrongo nje. Aba-wrongo. Like, those boys were wrong.
Yeah. Amaginza, so.
Not even ukuthi bebengasa because they were like, they're still like the sweetest men I've engaged in my life, know? They still remain brothers till today. They remain people that I can rely on. Like Oskido, you can rely on Oskido for life. That's a guy you can rely on. Mindlos, those people, they still remain brothers to me, you know? But they were wild in the sense that they were young, they were drinking, they had girls, they were famous.
Did Oskido really pee in an aeroplane?
Please ask Oskido.
Okay, fine. I'm gonna call
Ask
him to
Oskido when you have him. Oh my God. I mean, Oskido, they once wrote something about him in the paper. Then he released a single where he was sitting on a toilet seat reading the newspaper, the Sunday newspaper. You know, they were wild, those boys. I mean, the car that they used to fetch me in, Bokuikumbi, epalwe emuva, epalwe isidudla sesifebe. I remember saying to them, ningangilani ngale moto. Ningangilani ngale moto. Maningilanda mina. You know, and that's the other thing, is that they were the kind of boys that I could really demand my respect and my place, and they would just go, oh, okay. You know, like when I say angifun land, then it's done.
That's powerful and beautiful.
It was just done. I never had a difficult time with those boys. None of them. All the crazy that they were up to. Never had a difficult time. I mean, once Oskido and I had a fight. Once.
Really?
Once. And I remember we had that fight. We were on tour in London. It was the first major Kwaito tour.
Okay.
Where Sony took every Kwaito artist to London that was signed to Sony. And we did to the UK, to England. And we did London, we did Brighton, we did a lot of different places. And on the first gig, Oskido and I had a fight. I won't describe the details of the fight, but we had a fight. And then after that fight happened, I said to him, Lalelake, yabona mna ayenzeki lento. I'm taking my things now, I'm going home. Because I don't need any of this. Which was another strange thing about me. I was so young, but I really had a very strong sense of myself.
That's incredible.
And what I would accept. So when that one thing happened, I said, I'm leaving. And I packed my bags, and I remember the whole of Kalawa came. Babi's meeting. Abo Mandla, all those guys.
Yes.
Babi's meeting. Kwatwa Oskido, apologize now. Now. Because I had my bags, that I don't need this, I'm going home. And they called a meeting, and they said, Oskido, please. It's a room full of men, but Oskido, no, Oskido, please. Just apologize. Wa apologize. No, it wasn't even that, because Nekisili Puja. I grew up in the township, whatever. I mean, was too bad. But Nekisili Puja, you know what I mean? It was that I was talented, and I knew it, and I wasn't going to let anybody think that they could control any part of anything to do with my gifts.
Yes.
These are my gifts.
That's a big one, though.
You know? So I said, I'm leaving. My gifts will take me wherever they will take me. Even though I was on my first international tour. I said, I'll leave this international tour and go home. Because I don't need this behavior. You know what I mean? But yeah, Oskido apologized, and we never fought again.
The line was drawn.
The line was drawn. I said, yay, mina ngikho lapho mpinjam, angikho la. But also the nice thing about boys, silwa manje, later on, regret.
Yes.
It's sharp.
So now, then we're getting to the Bongo Maffin albums and stuff.
Yes. Oh no. Are you gonna ask funny questions?
No. Oh, I was about to. It's so funny. You can read me. I was like, how do I frame this? Okay, fine. Did you always have a crush on Stone?
No, I didn't always have a crush on Stone. Let's think about it. I have to remember what I was doing.
Because you know I had a crush on him first, and then I had to let go of my crush because you went and had a baby with him.
I'm so sorry.
Yes. Even he knows that.
Oh my God. Please, can I tell you though, Ntsiki always has crushes. Everybody is Ntsiki's crush. Ntsiki has a crush on everyone. Really, the world, Ntsiki, who must we have crushes on? You have crushes on everyone.
It's valid. It's fine.
But also, I mean, I had a girlfriend at the time. I'd had many girlfriends before that.
That's what's interesting.
Stone was I think it's that he was good looking.
Yeah, it's hot.
He's a good-looking guy,
Yeah,
right?
it's hot.
I mean, I can't see it now.
Yeah.
Because of what has happened, what has transpired. I don't see the good looks. But at the time, I thought he was really good looking. And he was very smart, actually.
He is
was
very smart.
I love a smart
He's a very
person.
smart guy.
He was very smart. He had so many talents. He could draw. And he loved reading. He had like information about little things. Like you'd be like, oh, this microphone. Then he'd tell you what's in the microphone, how the microphone is made. And you're like, oh, wow, you know that? So he knew stuff. And I found it interesting. You know, I found him. But also, I think it's because at the time we were traveling all over the world.
That's what I was about to say. So did Malaika come about from the excitement of things going so well? And
everything was so beautiful, man. Our lives were beautiful. Our lives were beautiful. We were traveling. We were performing at the best festivals, best venues, hanging out with the biggest stars. We were the biggest stars. Life was beautiful. You know what I mean? And we were young. We were like in our early 20s.
Yes.
You know? And so we just kind of fell into each other because it was, we were having this beautiful experience with each other.
Yeah.
You know? So it was that. It was like, how awesome everything was. Wow, let's make love.
Right?
Let's just make love.
Why?
Oh, look at this. Look at this.
Right?
Should we just make love?
Right?
You know, so that was it, you know.
And having a child so early? Did you think about that? Did you?
You know what? When I got pregnant, I went to go speak to my mother's oldest sister, uMam'u, and I said, I'm pregnant. And she said to me, hey, yazi mntanam, all these years you've been praying to God because obviously she knew our family situation and knew that we didn't have family. And she said to me, all these years you've been praying for family. You didn't have anyone calling you on your birthday. You didn't know where to go for Christmas. You didn't know who would take you on holiday. God is giving you someone who is going to spend every holiday with you, every Christmas with you, every birthday. Someone who's going to be in your life, family, your family, you know? I mean, at the time, I don't even know if we were family. Were we family? We were family, but it was such a far away place.
Oh, you mean the unit or me and you?
No, I'm saying just
the oh, yeah.
In that time, things were so crazy that every one of us was alone somewhere.
I think that Mama's death broke our entire family unit.
Absolutely. I mean, I say that all the time.
We have struggled since.
Yeah, nobody's come out of it unscathed. Nobody survived this thing. Yeah. Nobody survived Mama's death. None of us.
None of us.
We come out of there in tatters. We come out of it, we're broken already.
Yeah.
And we are all trying to find ways to rebuild.
That's trying to find a family.
Yeah.
That's what Malaika became.
Yeah. So Malaika was that thing for me. She would arrive in my life and suddenly birthdays and Christmas and, you know.
So who named her Malaika?
Oh, wow. You did it.
You named her?
You did it.
Thank you. Thank you. What has that relationship done for you?
I think that relationship brought a lot of ease to my life. You know, my life was tense. My life was tense, Baba. I was sad. I was homeless. I was alone. I was all kinds of things. And Malaika arrived and things started to come together.
Yes.
Some family started to come closer.
Yes.
You know, uMam'u came closer. You know, things just started to feel a little bit better with Malaika. You know, she really did become our angel.
She really did.
She really did.
Because I was also very much in your life at the time.
Yeah.
And that was family.
Everybody came closer. She brought us all a lot closer in that time. And it was something that we needed, you know. So, and in my life, like the last 22 years have been such a huge lesson in like, what is to love someone? What is to truly be there for someone as they grow, as they decide, as they make mistakes, as they throw stuff back at you also.
Hey.
You know what I mean? Because that's what having a
Children
child
do.
is.
They mirror your
They
stuff.
talk back to you, you know. Yeah, kodwa wena wami uyakhumbula ngela xesha wawuthe, and you did this to me.
They hold you accountable.
And then you realize, oh my goodness, I did do that to you. So, you know.
Oh, wow.
Then you must learn whether are you the parent who apologizes, what happens. Maybe apologies take much longer. You know, you realize that you are not perfect. You realize that, you know, you could have ruined this person's life. But also you realize that you can really put your heart into something. You can put your heart into something and raise someone and love them unconditionally. That's the beautiful thing about parenting.
How did you balance being the mom and then the band and breaking up with the baby daddy and still having to work with them and all those emotions? And
well, when I left the band, when I started my solo career, I hadn't really left Bongo Maffin, but I was working a lot more than what Bongo Maffin was doing at the time. So I never really had to work with the baby daddy. Until like recently when, you know, Speedy tried to get us all to make another album, and so we had to make another album. And, you know, we had to negotiate.
Okay, so when you went on your solo journey, Bongo Maffin was already
something chilled there. And then I got time.
Oh, really?
I got time to do me. Something just relaxed there, and I went
Does
on.
it cause conflict that, like, sometimes maybe you're doing really well and the band is not doing well? Does it not cause...
No, I don't think so, because I think everybody was happy doing what they were doing on their own.
Everyone's
you
got
know?
their own journey.
Jassy was doing his Rasta reggae nights thing, and, you know, Speedy has his own music career. Stone has his TV and music career.
So it actually was divine intervention and it worked.
Yeah, I think everything works out.
In its place, ne?
Everything always works out and in its place, you know.
So now, let's talk about your musical process, because a lot of your ubungoma bakho, your healing work happens through the music.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to understand your process. Yeah, Guti. Is it deliberate? Because we went from Zabalaza, Ibhokwe. I only realized later, Ibhokwe, that what it actually represents.
Yeah. Nothing is ever deliberate, because making art is, for me, it's like it's one step in front of the next. You don't begin with a full artwork. You begin with one stroke, and then you go, what else can I do? And you put something else, and you go, what else can I do? Until it's a full picture, you know. So the processes are different for every album, you know. Like, for instance, when we were doing Zabalaza, Sipho Sithole, he was the producer.
Yeah.
So he kind of assumed the full spectrum of that role, and I assumed the role of the vocalist, the songwriter, and that I would do the lyrics. So every now and then he would come to my place and bring me something that he worked on, like the beat, for instance. And say, okay, here's something. Do you like it? And then I'd be like, no. Then he'd bring another one, and they'd be like, no. Bring another one, like, no. So it was a long time of me going, no. Also because I just came from making a lot of Kwaito music, a lot of, you know, Afro pop music. So I really didn't want it to sound like any of that stuff. And I wasn't sure what I wanted it to sound like. So Sipho was really great in that he was willing to try a few different things before we arrived at that one thing where I was like, this is the thing. You can leave this. I'll write to this, you know? But usually that's like, it's kind of, what's that word? Serendipity.
Yes.
It happens when this song meets something in my heart that brings about a melody in me and words in me. So everything just kind of clicks into place. It just kind of happens. You know, it's weird when you say it, but that's what it is. It's like something clicks into place, and then suddenly you go, this is it. This is the idea. I can feel this particular idea. So Zabalaza was like that. And a lot of the time I would arrive in studio and I'd find the band is already there. The band already put something down and they're just waiting for me to take the mic. But with Ibhokwe, it was a completely different experience. One, I had been traveling to Port St. John's a lot, and I didn't really know why I was traveling to Port St. John's a lot, but I was a lot. Every now and then, I would return to Port St. John's or Coffee Bay, and when I arrived there, I would end up somewhere in Amagqirha, and there would be that music, that drum, that sound, you know, and in fact, I started longing for the drum. I was like, I would go like, yo, yeah. I remember once I was being Midlands and then ngadlula somewhere, then bukhona izangoma, and I said, "Hayi bo kwathula kangaka anishaya isigubhu." But hayi bo ufuna isigubhu please. And you know, so I started longing for isigubhu at the time. And even the dreams that I was having were very different. And so the music kind of came out of that, out of those places and those dreams that I was having at the time. And I was having a lot of different dreams. I'd have dreams that involved cows. I'd have dreams that involved umbila, millies. I'd have dreams that involved water, any kinds of dreams, right? The dreams that would be associated with ubizo, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I would have those dreams.
Would you say that Ibhokwe that was maybe on Twaso?
Um, I, I think that I would say that I've always been doing some kind of self-healing work.
Yeah.
For instance, when I got into my first year at varsity, I started wearing beads, just a lot of beads, you know, and people used to call me and my friends the beaded bunch because I influenced
Yes.
my friends to also wear
Yes.
beads. So there was something about beads for me that called to me and made me feel grounded, you know. So I was always doing this kind of self-healing work. And I think Ibhokwe was a part of that. But also, it was a part of me saying that as an artist, speaking to my generation and whoever is listening, that our traditional belief systems are not like, what a weird idea to think that our traditional belief systems are old or they are not, I don't know. I think once people had become Christianized, they thought that our faith and our belief system was
outdated.
yeah, or ingcolile or something, you know what I mean? But for me, I wanted to make this album that says, no, we live within this thing, you know? I mean, it's insane for us as African children to think that we cannot engage our own belief systems, you know, and that we can survive really without engaging our own ancient belief systems, our own ancient knowledge systems, you know. So that album was me really going deeper into what that knowledge is and how I can put that into like a cultural project that can inspire others to do the same.
So now, okay, then there's Dance of the Forgotten Free, and then there's Belete.
Yes.
It gets deeper and deeper and deeper. What does that mean?
What gets deeper and
The
deeper?
music.
You think so?
Yes.
Maybe it's just growth. Like you just, you know, as a person, when you're growing up, like you might start off making. And the next thing you know, you're saying, "Andi you know what I'm saying? So it's just growth, really. It's life, it's experience. And I think that's why I take so much time between albums.
Yes.
So that the experience is refelt when I come back. You know, it's not like every year.
Yeah.
And then if I start
heat.
to,
December
I start,
heat.
yeah,
December
I start
heat.
to look the same. But I want to show that there's like life, and that this is what the life experience has brought me to now. You know.
Do you think that's what's made you, given you longevity?
Whew, I think the longevity thing comes from a lot of different places. I think the longevity came, one, because I had mentors and elders who took me along with them. If Brahu had not held my hand, or Busim Shlongo, or Mama Mira Makeba, or Mamletambulu, Kaifa Seminya, all these people, if they had not held my hand, I wouldn't have what I have now. It's because they kept calling out my name. Every time you would ask them, so who's the next? They would say, Thandiswa. Even Mama Mira Makeba said it. So they were just propelling me. They kept pushing me like, look what we're saying about you. So it's really important, I think, what we say to young people when they're trying something out. As the elders, now that we are elders, it's important to say, keep going, babe. There's something in you. They all kept saying that to me. There's something in you. There's something in you. And I started to believe it. So yeah, we have to say that to a lot to young people. So it's that. And I think it's also that I listened to them, because you can have elders in your life and not listen to them. I listened. Even at times when I didn't want to listen, like I did this YFM shoot where they had me topless and they put heels on me. They were like, look at my heels. And, every now and then you're like, and I was not a heel girl.
Yes.
But I put on these heels and then I was sitting on a couch. They had me squatting on a couch like this, bareback, looking at the camera. And then Mama Miriam Makeba came to me. She said, I was in an aeroplane paging through the magazine that and then she was like, "Ngawuvezi umqolo." And then I was like, okay, I won't. Like I felt it with, okay, mandingawuvezi umqolo. Even though as a young person, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I'm fresh, I'm
Right.
nice. Umqolo munani, girl, like, what's up?
Stop hating.
Like,
You're
what's
just
up?
old.
Like, whoa.
Dude.
Like, miss, hello.
I mean, this grandma up in here coming to tell me.
And I listened, actually. I think that was the value for me, is that every time they spoke, I listened. Even the Belete album, it was Brahu's idea. He said to me, take the old South African songs and do a songbook. Sing the South African classics, And there's something beautiful about that because now a song like West Wind has been sung by Nina Simone, Miriam Makeba, Letambulu, and Thandiswa Mazwai.
Yeah, what?
You see what I'm saying?
Hey, weekend.
So he was really helping me to become part of a certain musical canon. I think that's where the longevity comes from. It also comes from the fact that I think from very young age, I knew exactly who I was, and I was very different, And it's helped me to go all over the world and know that no one can do what I do. Like I knew, even one of the biggest concerts I did with Beyonce in Cape Town, was my first solo performance at like a massive festival, and Beyonce was there, and I said to myself, "Akazuyenza lento ndizawuyenza mna." So when you are doing nobody can outshine you. So it's really important to do you.
Thank you so much. I know you don't do. I know.
I don't do
and you don't do personal questions.
And I don't do personal questions. I'm glad you didn't ask me about baby daddy issues or lesbianism.
Do you want to talk about lesbianism?
No.
Like to,
No, I do like lesbianism, but I don't want to talk about baby daddy issues.
No. We are totally here to celebrate you.
Thank you, my
We
sister.
are proud
Thank
of
you.
you in a way that I know right now it seems quiet because of the confusion in the country and whatever, but your flowers are there.
Thank you.
The youth is ready, the elders, and your contribution. I mean, from Chobi to Wakauzura.
I know. What a journey.
Joe.
What a journey. It's unbelievable.
And the fact that usindile, man.
Girl, I mean, I come from the Kwaito era. We lost so many people. We lost so many people. So
there's so many things we didn't talk about Lebu, your relationship with Lebu. That was also a special relationship.
We need 5 hours.
You know what I'm saying? We'll have to call you again.
Yeah.
But thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I know you're working on your album now, so we're excited.
Thank you. Yeah, the album is going to be out maybe, I was hoping September, but now I'm thinking early next year, like February.
February is a good time.
Definitely February. Because I thought
Because there's that quietness also in the beginning of the year.
Yeah. I think that's
Then we
when
can
I can
take in the...
Yeah.
Because values about deeps, yes.
Every now and then there's but also I want to say how proud I am of you and this podcast. I've watched some of the episodes. They're so beautiful and you are so headstrong and bold and beautiful. I love your smile. You know, I've always loved your smile because you have my mother's smile. And I'm just so into you and I'm so proud of you, Ntsiki.
I love you.
Congratulations.
I love you.
you.
You've always been there for me. I love you.
I love you, Ntsiki.
I know how to make you laugh.
What is it?
Mama.
No, that makes you laugh.
I'm going to say laugh tomorrow.
That makes you laugh, not me. It's your joke. That makes you laugh.
Oh my God. You've been an amazing big sister, not only to me, but to everyone.
Thank you, Ntsiki.
And I'm tired of making you cry. Please leave.
Yes, thank you.
I'm standing citizens. I know you love this one. I know this is your fave. I know we're going to be trending. I know. You are most welcome.
Mostly they want to see Guti. What's going on?
I know, it's a sibling rivalry.
Yeah, that's really what they want to see.
But also they
need to know Guti, this is Ntsiki and this is Thandiswa. That's what they want to know. Especially now that I've dyed my hair.
I wanted to clarify that for the people because I know you get a lot of backlash.
Ukuthi guys, sanufaka imimi yami kunto ethi gabhu endabeni zabantu. Nanku umuntu othe gabhu.
Bye guys. Bye, it's finished. Love and light from me and the crew. I want to have uncomfortable conversations. I want the room to be divided. I want people to be screaming and mad at each other. Then I want them to understand each other. I want to see things from a different point of view. This is Unpopular Opinion.